All right. Hello.
I
Hi.
swore he was going to forget that.
Hi. Welcome to Unnecessary Roughness, Barstool's college football podcast. Fist bump. Brought to you by High Noon Hard Seltzer, and Kayce, Smith, and Big Ev will tell you all about them right now.
It is officially the summer, Ev. Memorial Day is behind us. It's June. It's hot. It's the best time to crack open a cold High Noon, whether you like the vodka or the tequila. Have you tried the teas yet?
I have not.
I haven't either.
I've been dying to.
Everybody's talking about how good they are, and I haven't gotten my hands on them yet, but I've been told Glenny Ball's big High Noon guy, as we all know. And
I trust his endorsement.
I trust, and he said they are incredibly good, that I love the peach regular High Noon, the peach iced tea. I know a lot of people are tequila fans. The Fiesta pack is out these days. Every liquor store that's like popping up on social media right now has gigantic displays of High Noon with Dave and Miss Peaches. It's the time of year where High Noon just tastes just a little bit better than it normally does, which is always very good.
It's that time of the year now. We finally got to the point where like April and May, you're in that weird time where like some days it's hot, some days it's cold. You don't know. Now we've officially hit. It's just nice at every day. Sun's out, High Noon's flowing.
So highnoonsunsips.com is obviously where you can find it if you don't know where to find it. But like I said, you just walk into a liquor store right now. I promise you're going to see the High Noon. Again, the original flavors, the Fiesta pack, the tequila, now the new teas. Go find it, High Noon Sunsips. And this is the part of the year, Ev, you're so right. And Brandon and Liam, we all know this. Summer happens, everybody's out by the water, whether you're on a boat or pool, whatever, and then you just roll right into college football season, roll right into the fall where it tastes just as good. This is like we're in a great time of year as it is, but especially to drink High Noon, Brandon.
You know what we've entered? We've entered where all the beat writers are doing countdown to college football, where they're doing like 88 days, 86 days, and then they'll put a picture of a player wearing 86 or 88. Every beat writer at every school thinks they've cracked the code in cheap engagements and likes, and then they put that out. But we are absolutely in countdown season. We're at the early part of countdown season.
Brandon,
we are countdown season.
You did that yourself last week, as a matter of fact, a cheap engagement farm college football tweet.
When did I do that?
When you were like, we're going to kick A&M out of college football entirely, from a video that everyone has seen before with the Yell Eaters. Like we are in the time of the year where everyone's like, oh, LOL, look at these A&M traditions that everybody made fun of the year before. And you, of all people, Benedict Arnold, had to do it too.
Let me tell you something, Kayce. All right, I'm not the one who gets in a room with a bunch of old white people and does this shit with all this.
The traditions that have been going on since the 1800s. No, your fans just get in and ring a bunch of fucking bells that hurt everybody's ears.
That's one tradition that we have, and it's awesome and wonderful and memorable. You guys, traditions. The problem with you guys is nobody in your fan base has ever been a leader and said, you know what? We should cut at least 2 or 3 of these traditions. Y'all just carry you can't have them all. You can't have every tradition. You can't
cut traditions. But here's the thing. You want to talk about like engagement farming, which we are in that time of year, by the way. In June, I feel like as a whole usually is. It's really like the beginning of like right after Memorial Day, June into like SEC media days or media days as a whole. Everyone's just like begging for things to talk about college football wise. And you're such an asshole that you had to play the hits that the internet always plays. Like you're not supposed to do that as my co-host.
Let me tell you something, Kayce, and I will go to the ends of the earth for you. I value your friendship. I value you. I will use A&M for Twitter clout all day, every day. You guys grabbing your nuts and doing all these things.
No. And this is old. This is a shtick that is old.
I will never stop using A&M for Twitter likes. I will not. And that one blew the fuck up.
Okay, well, I know. That's why I said
you know good and goddamn well. If next week there's a video of some old Mississippi redneck or whatever ringing a cowbell and doing it in weird, crazy fashion, let's just say Stingray Steve showed back up and did something embarrassing, you'd tweet that shit.
No, I see you, an old white redneck, ringing a bell all the time, and I don't talk shit about you. It's facts. I made a good point.
A decent counterpoint is what that was.
But you are 1,000% right though. This is the time of year where college football personalities, media fans are just begging for stuff to happen.
Big Ev, I really like that shirt. I just want to lay in that shirt.
It's good, right?
I want to lay in that shirt and just smell the flowers and look up at the stars.
Oh yeah, it feels as good as it looks.
Feels like tablecloth, wears like it's fantastic.
Yeah, that's
It's
It's nice, silky. Also, you guys both have some dumbass traditions. Like really.
Oh,
stupid.
okay. All right. School
Oh,
whose
oh.
greatest innovation is dotting the fucking I in their name.
and gets mad when people say "the" unless it's from them.
Well, I mean,
Y'all
we
also
are the
had
Ohio
a million
State.
nickname choices, and you went with a fucking nut.
I mean, it's the state nut.
It-
Tell me
who
you
else
don't
do-
tell me you don't enjoy a nice nut.
Who
Tell
else?
me you don't.
I love
Tell
a
me you
good
don't.
nut.
I know
I
you
love
do.
a good nut, but nobody else decided, hey, we need a name for our football team. Oh, should we do the Tigers or the Cougars or the Lions? No, how about, is that a nut over there? Let's be the Nuts. That's what you guys did. And then you said, oh, well, how are we going to make our pregame awesome? Is there a fucking I in our name? Let's dot that son of a bitch. I'm not knocking it, but you can't just shit on our traditions.
And trademark the word "the."
Trademark the word "the."
I mean, these are things you do in kindergarten. You learn to dot your I's and you use the word "the."
So it sounds like we didn't overthink it.
No, I don't think anybody will accuse you of that. Listen,
Everyone's the Tigers. Everyone's
Okay.
the Wildcats. We
Here's
said, let's go Buckeyes. No, when they zig, we zag.
I would venture to say, and I understand that my school gets made fun of a lot more, and fine, whatever. You people just don't understand it. I would venture to say that every single school has a dumb tradition somewhere. Right?
of course they do, and that's what makes it's what differentiates our sport from the NFL. The NFL is wonderful. I love it. Everybody here loves it. But it is a little bit corporate and a little bit same every Sunday, right? You've seen one stadium, you've seen them all, and you can't say that about college football. Everything's different. Everybody's got their little things. My only thing with A&M is like Ohio State. I just named 2 or 3 traditions that make them stand out. Mississippi State, you can name one. Tennessee, you can name Rocky Top and running through the T and all that. A&M has 28 of them. You can't have them all, Kayce.
Well, apparently we do because you're still talking about them. So
You brought them up.
well, you said that media people are engaging tweets. They're farming engagement. You did the exact same thing last week. You played the dumbass hits, and I called you out on it. Now talk about the news.
Let me first of all, I got one more thing I want to talk about. What are you doing with South Dakota State?
Just a fan.
So you're just making yourself the South Dakota State guy?
I've always been a FCS guy, low major, mid major guy, whatever it be. Always been a Dakota man, whether it be North Dakota State, South Dakota State. Just so happens, after a few interviews with players over the years, a few of the fellas from South Dakota State want to say, hey, Liam, let's get you right.
Yeah.
Got me right. I've been bribed. I'm a jackrabbit.
You're not only wearing the shirt, you brought a decorative helmet.
They gave me a cool little helmet. They gave me 4 shirts,
That's
cool little helmet, a nice
I love
letter,
that.
2 championship hats. I'm a national champion now.
I don't think you are.
Heck yeah, I am. I've done it.
So you got on Unnecessary Roughness and immediately sold out?
I didn't sell out. I've always been the jackrabbit at heart. It's just so.
Wait, they wrote you a
happens I got
letter?
some gear. Yeah, a very nice letter.
What did the letter say?
Yeah.
That's personal?
Oh, well, that's cute.
South Dakota State's going to beat Oklahoma State this year.
Are they?
They can now.
What do you mean they can now?
Now they
actually
got
won.
Plumman, baby.
Yeah, he's a jackrabbit now. He got the letter. He got the official letter. Blum, and I have to tell you, and Brandon, also the breakdown guys, I was on the podcast with them earlier. They said to tell you hello.
Hello.
Is that Buka? No, what's his name? Well, I don't remember that.
Frankie
name.
Buka.
Yeah,
Frankie Buka, that's right.
Jonathan and Frankie.
Yeah.
We were talking about this podcast, and Liam, I said, I don't know if I'll ever be able to forget the way that you did not miss a beat when a few episodes ago, Brandon and Ev were talking about boobs, and Brandon went to you, and you immediately started talking about the depth at wide receiver for Texas Tech. It's something I'll never be able to understand how your brain processed. It's just an incredible moment in this podcast.
Yep. You know how I be. Ball knower.
So
no.
boob talk out.
Brand. College football show. It's college football show.
Okay, can I talk to Big Ev real quick?
I know what you're going to talk about.
What?
Is the wrong sport.
You don't know what I'm going to talk about.
Yeah.
I could talk about a million things right here.
Go ahead.
Write down what you think I'm going to talk about. Write it down.
Now I'm wrong.
Write it down. Write it down what you think I'm going to talk about.
You know what? While they're doing that, Ev, you want to talk about something that we all need?
Hold on, Kayce.
We're not doing an ad. We're not doing an ad.
That's exactly what I was going to talk about.
Exactly. What is this?
Big Ev. I mean that Edmonton. I know y'all have been talking about on Pick Central. Surely the Edmonton Oilers gal.
I mean, listen.
Oh.
She needs to be a college football fan.
She might be.
Just listen. I appreciate greatness in all forms and all facets.
I do too.
Just a lovely pair of breasts. There's no.
There's
no two ways around it.
Just an outstanding pair of titties.
I want to say this: if they were man-made, God bless the surgeon, doctors, however. But if they're not,
wow,
Jesus, I mean,
God bless himself.
The good Lord makes no mistakes.
He really doesn't. Good for him.
It truly is amazing how just respected across the board when somebody flashes their boobs at sporting events. Like, obviously there are pearl clutchers out there, but just in general, everyone just appreciates it.
I'm going to go ahead and say it. I think this is the GOAT of titties at sporting events. I think this is the GOAT. I think we've had some great ones. The World Series a couple of years ago. We've had some great ones. I think this is the greatest of all time, Big F.
And Julia Rose was a plant.
And she
was a plant. She's like an
influencer.
Like, I don't know if she does OnlyFans, but she's in that realm.
Didn't she date Logan Paul for a long time?
She did, I believe. Jake Paul. This is a woman who I believe just got caught up in excitement.
For the love of the game. She wasn't doing it for clout.
At a watch party. That was a watch party. That was Game 5. That game was in Dallas.
That's I always wanted.
That was a watch party.
Wow.
Or an old video.
You're into
it. I think watch party. I know Puck.
He's a Puck
befuddled by why that's going on and what's happening in Dallas. We know that. We're selling out.
Well, anyway, I it's immediately on the Mount Rushmore of public sports titties.
Here's my question for you, because we're college football lovers and knowers in this podcast or on this podcast. Yeah. Do you think that happens at college football games more than we know, and the TV broadcasts just don't show it? Or do you think it's just not happening at college football?
There has to have been if you think a touchdown in the SEC hasn't just a flash hasn't come about that.
We just don't see it.
It's happened. It has to, because that was a video was caught distinctly. It wasn't even like the broadcast obviously can't get that.
Right.
Yeah. That was a friend next door just taking the video.
Texas, Washington, there was a girl that flashed the camera when they were like not even in the stadium. It was semifinal, and they were like doing a pan of the camera out on like the streets or whatever, and someone flashed.
Okay. All right. So there you go.
Liam's brain needs to be studied by science.
I remember it because Big Cat was yelling at me to go get the screenshot I went to get.
Well, okay. Horny Dan at it again.
And those are some non-SEC boobs. So all conferences are not.
Well, if they were Texas boobs, they are SEC.
There's no boobs like SEC. SEC boobs are the best boobs. I think we all agree with that.
It's highly likely. Those Big Ten, those Big Ten boobs, they're heavy. Some heavy breasts up there. Nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with it. Just they're not ready for prime time. Like Southern boobs are ready for prime time. They're always ready to come out.
A little perkier, some might say.
What a podcast! What a company!
All right,
who said we're misogynistic at Barstool Sports?
Just loving women. We love women.
That's our show.
Just finish now.
All right, so on this show, we'll talk a little bit about the news and everything. Not a whole lot of news going on. It is this kind of slow time, but I had an interesting idea here because one of the news items is Nick Saban, Urban Meyer, Aaron Donald headline the College Football Hall of Fame ballot. I thought, and Kayce and I will do this, and you guys who are new to the show can kind of follow along and say whatever you want to say. We're gonna nominate people for the Unnecessary Roughness Hall of Fame. Mm-hmm, guys who have shaped this podcast over the last 5 years. Guys who have been talked about more than anybody else, and however Kayce wants to do it, we'll do that later. But we will do that. I guess you want to start with the fact that last week I don't even remember why we didn't have a show. It was Memorial Day, and then yes I do. My friend's wife died. I had to go to Mississippi.
I was in Albuquerque.
I was about to say you had a funeral, but I didn't want to be like somebody died.
Well, I forgot. I went down for the funeral last Sunday, and when I got there, I found out the funeral was the next Sunday, so I had to drive home, then fly back. It was a tough week. But shout out to my friend Matt. My best friend Matt. His wife passed away, and that is now. We had the memorial. They had the memorial service Sunday, so shout out to them. He's an Ole Miss fan. But she was a Mississippi State fan.
So she
So
was, yeah, she was the
She
better
was
half.
on the
Better
She was
half.
on the right
Yes,
side.
better
She was on the
half.
right side of history.
Ev, I think we need a fist
Um,
bump because we said it at the same time. We never get to fist bump. Brandon, speaking of you being in Mississippi, did you know that your mom like, first of all, she started a group text between me and another coworker that I never expected to be on a group text with your mother, just to send a photo and talk shit about you in her backyard in Mississippi.
What was it?
It was just a picture of you, and I looked at it and it said your mom's name, and then it was to me and Nick Terraney. Why the two of us on the group text with your mom, I don't know, but it was just a picture of you, and she said, "Does anybody want to guess what Brandon is doing?" And I'm gonna let Ev look at it and see what he thinks that you were doing. I have no idea why this happened.
Well, will you let me see it so I can guess what I was doing? Send
I
it to
don't-
the unnecessary roughness.
And so she said, "Do you want to take a guess what Brandon is doing right now?" And then Nick
Send it to
said,
me.
"Nursing a sunburn." And I said, "Did he shave his legs?" And your mom said, "Nope, he's still really hairy, just blonde, so you can't really see him." And that was the end of the group text.
I thought it looked like you were eating.
I'm going to send it to you right now. It's going into the unnecessary roughness group text. And by the way, it does look like your legs are shaved, which is fine if you wanted to do it. But
I guess tomorrow when this show comes out, you can tweet this picture so everybody can see it. I haven't seen it yet.
I
I
have
don't
no
remember
idea
my
what you're
mom.
doing in that photo.
I don't either. Let's see.
Good picture.
Let me see it because my phone's not giving pictures right now.
All right. My phone's doing pictures.
What do you think you're doing?
I'm peeing.
No.
I think I'm peeing.
That doesn't look like a pee stance.
I don't know what I'm doing.
I'm going to text her back right now.
Brandon, you are not peeing in that picture.
I
No.
might be tying on a fishing bait. I don't know. I can't tell what I'm doing.
I mean, I sent it to you too, but like that doesn't look like he's peeing.
I have a high penis.
Surely it doesn't look like
Penis.
he's peeing.
Like what your hands would be. Okay, I just text your mom and I said, "So what was he doing?"
Okay.
Because I have to
I don't know what
now.
I was doing.
Okay. Brandon, before we get to the video game, which I must say, and I should have texted you this, but you weren't answering me at the time, that I am trying to learn the NCAA game via learning Madden, which I don't know if that's the best way to do it, but I'm trying. Before we get to talk about
That's a good foot in the door.
Okay, so what I've learned is, and what you've been trying to tell me is that it's very therapeutic to be sitting there just like learning these games. I'm doing like the training camp right now. I'm like just trying to learn everything because something therapeutic is always good. Also, what's good? BetterHelp therapy. This podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp. Ev, I know that you're new to the crew, but you're not new to Barstool. Obviously, you've been around for a long time. You know how many people in this company are using BetterHelp, and probably how many people in this company need to use BetterHelp, because everybody needs someone to talk to.
If they're not, they definitely need it. A lot of people that need it.
A lot of people that need it. Everybody needs somebody to talk to, whether you're dealing with mental health issues or you just need somebody to talk through your day-to-day stuff. And BetterHelp does it the best. I am a little bit biased because I love BetterHelp, but also that you can text with your therapist, you can call them, you can video chat with them. It's not your traditional, you go sit into an office, and if you don't like your therapist, you're kind of just SOL. They will pair you with somebody. If it doesn't work out, they will pair you with somebody else. And it's so easy. You can do it on your walk, on your drive, anytime you can talk to your therapist. So if you've been thinking about starting therapy, BetterHelp is the best way to give it a try because it is entirely online. It's designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. And Ev, all you have to do is just go fill out a brief questionnaire. You'll get matched with a licensed therapist, and it's no additional charge if you don't like that, or if you don't, match with them well, you can get a new one. That's huge.
You get a little versatility, a little bit, whatever fits you best.
Whatever fits you best.
BetterHelp's got something for you.
It is. It is okay to not be okay, Brandon Walker. So right now, just take a step back, think about your life. It's going to be better if you can talk it through with somebody else. Visit BetterHelp.com/Smith today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Smith. Take a moment and work on yourself. So Brandon, I understand that Madden's not the same as NCAA, but what I've been told is that the game, the mechanics of the game itself, I can learn how to do that. But that what I've been told is the NCAA is going to look and play much better. I don't even know what that means, but that's what I've been told.
Yeah, well, it's going to feel the thing about Madden is it's a good representation, and a lot of people would say it's not a good representation, but it's a representation of pro football, 32 teams. The NCAA developers have a much harder task. They have to do about 130-something teams, which means 130 stadiums, which means 130 different chants, which means 130 different feelings, 130 different playbooks. So it's a different animal. But they have always done a good job of capturing what sets college football apart. And the other day, when we watched that gameplay trailer, and Herb Street was telling us, there's now this wear and tear system where if you have a player and he gets a big hit, he's not going to be the same on the next play. I think that's a good feature. Home field advantage is, of course, something that is, I believe, more unique to college football than it is pro football. Certainly, going to Arrowhead Stadium is tough. Going to San Francisco is tough, but nothing like going to a Penn State whiteout or nothing like going to Georgia between the hedges. So everything I saw, Blutman, I liked everything, and going 11 years without this game, a game that was so important to me for so many years, there was bound to be a little bit of residual. Oh my God, just give me any game and I'll be happy. But even the naysayers online had to see that gameplay trailer and think, my God, they might have nailed it. Now we still have a month. July 19th is when we find out. But they've hit every note so far, and it makes it look like a piece of college football that is wholly unique from Madden.
Yeah, I think earlier you were talking about how like beat reporters and everything are counting down the days till the regular season.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm still stoked for the beginning of the regular season, but there's one countdown that matters right now, and that's like 40-ish days till college football 25. Like that's what I think we should all be caring about right now.
It is different. Like the last 10 years, we've just been you get to June and okay, well, college football is coming in 3 months. Well, now you got a little piece of college football coming in July.
Yeah, we could create the season and then some by ourselves, and exactly what we do with our Kennesaw State dynasties is what's going to happen in real life. Kennesaw State win national championship.
Brandon,
Is that one of yours?
I'm not. You remember they had the turnover plank? Turnover plank was sick.
All right, yes, Kayce.
No, you tweeted something about you were mad about a feature that I can't remember what it was. Was it something with like?
Well, there's a thing in there called Road to Glory, and what Road to Glory is it's just you create an individual player, and then you play out his journey through college football. You play his 4 years wherever you play. Now, used to, in the last game, Road to Glory would start in high school. You'd play 10 high school games in a state championship, and then you would get a star rating, and then you'd be able to commit to a college. Well, now I think they've cut out the high school part, and you're just going to commit to a college, which is probably fine. And Road to Glory is not the number one feature on the game. I like Dynasty Mode a lot more than Road to Glory, but it's a good piece every now and then. So they cut out the high school part, which was a unique part, but it's not that big of a deal.
It's a big deal.
Is it?
Oh boy.
I feel like Road to Glory, like I would always only play Dynasty, and then 14 would play Ultimate stuff. Like very rarely would play Road to Glory. I think the most fun part about Road to Glory was the high school and the recruiting process. Like you had to earn your offer from Ohio State or Clemson, or you were just having to go play at Syracuse because that's like the best school that offered you and the interest, whatever it be. Like I thought that was such a fun part, and now that's gone. That's bad. And I think year by year they've kind of just downgraded Road to Glory. Like think about how it used to be. Used to be in a dorm room. Used to have a girlfriend that progressively got better looking as you played better.
That's the truth.
How are we getting rid of that
That's the truth?
stuff?
Back in the day, you would have a dorm room, and you could see pictures. And the picture of your girlfriend, the better you were, the hotter she was.
Shut the fuck up. That's
No, like,
incredible.
That's how good this mode was, and they've scrapped it. It's disgusting.
You know
We
who
should
would love
boycott
that?
it.
You know who would love that? I feel like, and I mean, RIP, we can't ask him, but I feel like that's something Mike Leach would have loved. Mike Leach would have loved that feature. You go
he
was
from,
like fat little girlfriends to like the hot 10 on campus for sure.
Also, all the
Liam's losing his
possibilities they had for Road to Glory for a high school recruit and the money payments and the NIL in this era, all the possibilities, Brandon.
This is the most.
What
This is the most upset I've seen Blutman.
They could have sent us on a recruiting
Just relax. We're not going to prejudge the game. This game looks great.
I'm only playing Dynasty.
Oh my god.
I'm only playing Dynasty too.
I know. I really want to play Road to Glory, but just
It's okay. Just relax.
It'll be okay.
I'm relaxed.
You can sign with South Dakota State if you want to.
It's a low blow.
Brandon.
What do you mean that's a low blow?
In the game?
That's true.
I have to
That's
put
true.
them in the game.
You could be FCS Midwest 2 or whatever.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
Remember FCS Southeast, the Rattlers?
Yeah, I saw a funny picture on Twitter the other day of like one of the FCS schools upsetting number 6 Clemson.
Yeah.
Someone just posted that screenshot. I thought it was funny.
It doesn't sound funny.
Well, it
What is
was. It was
going on?
real. Had to be there.
Brett, you
scrolling
should have saw it,
Twitter,
Brandon.
Yeah, you had to be
Yeah.
there. You had to be there.
You
there
had to be on
understand.
Twitter at that exact moment in time.
You didn't see that scoreboard where FCS Rattlers 34, Clemson.
So, yeah.
Oh, no, I was going to ask you because I feel like over the course of this podcast, all the years that we've been doing it, we've talked about how if we could like upset the NCAA and we could like get rid of them completely, we've always said who would govern is Greg Sankey, right? Like that's something that we feel like he would like be the natural guy to lead the charge.
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily care about spring meetings like whatsoever. Like I understand like it's news to talk about, but like whatever, like nothing usually happens. The fact that like Greg Sankey literally came out and said that he's confident that all the D1 schools can stay together. And I quote, he's prepared to take the leadership role as they navigate the historic change. I think this hypothetical that we've been talking about is like an actual reality coming. Like we've always said he should be the guy. Now it's just like a normal quote. Like, well, yeah, I'm prepared to take this and navigate the change through this. Am I crazy to think that the NCAA could be in a lot more trouble than we think it is?
Trouble. I don't know. I just think it's
Hot
an
water,
evolution.
maybe.
It's just an evolution. It's just the next step and the next bite of the apple. But I do think Greg Sankey has positioned himself as the leader in college football, and there's been good SEC commissioners before. You know, Mike Slive was pretty good before him. Roy Kramer, but Sankey is probably, I would say, the most respected voice. And in the last few years, we've seen an absolute collapse of leadership in the Pac-12 that led to them dissolving.
Thanks.
The Big Ten hasn't been all that strong in leadership, and Greg Sankey is kind of the guy that I look at as the number one leader in college football. And in a time where leaders are sorely needed because the sport is kind of changing so fast in front of us, I think the opportunity could present itself to him at some point. But yeah, I don't think you can rule out that reality, Kayce.
No, and in the same like reporting that came out of it, it talks about how, I mean, he legitimately says like, we're going to continue to work with the Big Ten. He doesn't mention the ACC. He doesn't mention the Big 12. He said, we're going to, as two conferences are going to work together to navigate through these waters. And all the hypotheticals of everything that's changed with conference realignment, with NIL, like, unless I'm completely crazy, this is the first time I've seen somebody like Greg Sankey or Greg Sankey himself literally coming out and being like, I mean, I'll take the leadership role, and like not even talking about the NCAA. That's crazy to me that's just like quietly being reported from spring meetings.
Well, I thought the thing that he said that was biggest in that same article was basically that in the way he views it, the NCAA tournament, March Madness, is basically the only thing that's holding the NCAA together at this point.
It's true. I mean,
that's what he said, and I tend to agree with him.
Yeah, I just think we've had so much, 5 years ago when we started this podcast, if I told you, hey, Kayce, well, they're going to start paying players soon, and players are not going to be punished for transferring. And by the way, Washington's going to be in the Big Ten, and Cal's going to be in the ACC. You would look at me like I had 7 heads. You would look at me like I was crazy. And that all happened immediately. This idea that we're headed towards a new reality, a new kind of delineation of NCAA and what it means, and somebody like Greg Sankey could be at the head of it. Yeah, I can see that.
But Brandon, before you even got hired at Barstool in 2018, when they changed the red shirt rule, when it used to be you had, you if you played a certain amount of games, when it went to 4 games, and I was doing comeback season with Johnny, that was like massive news. Like that, you would have thought that we were breaking NIL news the way that was treated with the red shirt news, and that was only 6-7 years ago, and now we're looking at a real world where the SEC and the Big Ten, which are obviously the two big tentpole conferences, with Greg Sankey saying, hey, I'll lead this charge in 2024. It's just crazy to me, the evolution. And as much as I have said, like, I'm all for it because I love college football, like, I have no idea what it's going to look like in the next couple of years, which is not a scary thing, because I'm going to love it no matter what, but things have changed fucking fast.
We got to talk about the College Football Hall of Fame, okay? Because Nick Saban, Urban Meyer, and Aaron Donald are headlining the College Football Hall of Fame ballot. Now, I'm not going to lie, the College Football Hall of Fame is not something that's been on my radar. I've been to it. I've been to it in Atlanta, where they have that wall of helmets. Kayce, I think you've been to it as well?
I have, yes.
It's kind of underwhelming. Like, it's not – you see the wall of helmets, and you're like, oh, my God, I'm at the greatest place ever. And then you go into another room, and there's just not much to it. But, yeah, so Saban is on the ballot, Urban Meyer's on the ballot, Aaron Donald's on the ballot. You're going to assume that those 3 guys get in. So 12 guys get in a year, apparently, okay? This year on the ballot will be 77 guys. It'll be the new guys that are added to it, like Donald, like Saban, like Urban Meyer, and it'll be the holdovers who haven't gotten in yet. Now, here's my issue with the College Football Hall of Fame. Okay? I'm going to read, Big Ev and Kayce, some names of guys who are on the ballot this year, whether they've been on the ballot before or not. And I want you to tell me if this guy should be a College Football Hall of Famer, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Kenyon Barner from Oregon. Yes, he should.
Yeah.
Michael Vick from
Yes.
Virginia Tech.
Easy.
Easy, yes.
Easy.
Peter Warwick from Florida State.
Yes.
Steve Slayton from West Virginia.
Yes.
Without question.
Why are these motherfuckers not already in it? Why is Haloti Nada not already a College Football Hall of Famer from Oregon?
Brandon, I looked at the list prior. I was I mean, you could form an NFL team that would never lose a game on this list. I get it's the College Football Hall of Fame, but it's
Marshawn Lynch?
Marshawn Lynch from Cal, not in there. Sebastian Janikowski, Florida State, was a fucking first-round pick as a kicker or whatever he was, maybe second round. James Laurinaitis from Ohio State.
Obviously,
Carter.
Edmonds, yes.
Keyjana Carter from Penn State. Dallas Carter from Dallas Clark from Iowa. Excuse me. Garrison Hurst from Georgia. I think he finished second or third in the Heisman. John Henderson from Tennessee. Come on, Joe. You know when Joe hit him?
Here's my question. Why is it only 12?
I don't know. I could
understand
put
you
every
probably can't have like unlimited amounts every single year, but 12 seems like an astronomically low number for football.
I mean,
Mark Ingram from Alabama won a Heisman.
we have
He's not in the
Heisman
College Football Hall
Trophy
of Fame.
winners that
Yes.
they're not putting in. Another one, RIP, Sean Taylor.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
How is he not?
What are we doing?
right?
What are we doing?
Yeah,
Manti Te'o, not in there. Takeo Spikes, not in there. Simeon Rice,
I mean,
incredible.
The answer is just they have to up the number. I mean, 12 people a year, like it's like we're talking about basketball, and even basketball seems like it would be low. But I mean, you have 130 people on a roster, like
that. Well, you have 100 guys on 135 teams. I don't think you should be capping this number. Like there's no reason. You need to stop what you're doing right now. Kellen Moore from Boise State.
Yes.
In no world should you have a College Football Hall of Fame and Kellen Moore's not already in it. This is his fourth time on the ballot. What the fuck happened the first three times?
Left college is the winningest quarterback in college football history, winning percentage.
What in the fuck? Why in the fuck would Kellen Moore not be in the College Football Hall of Fame already?
Only thing I can think of is that people that are voting are looking at it and being like, okay, he's like a younger guy in comparison to the older guys who have been left over from ballots before. It's like they're perpetually playing catch up, trying to get the names that deserve to be in there, I guess. I don't know.
Keyjana Carter was unbelievable at Penn State. I think that's before y'all's time.
When I was looking at this, I mean, Simeon Rice has, I believe, the most sacks in the history of the Big Ten.
I don't get it.
It doesn't make sense.
The 12, that's a horrific number. I mean, it's a great number, but it's like makes no sense for there to be only 12 picks.
Like Saban should absolutely, you know, Saban's got to get in. Urban Meyer's got to get in. You can't hold those guys. So there's two spots. Aaron Donald's probably getting in. There's three spots.
I don't know. See, Aaron Donald seems like he could be one of those guys that he should get in. He should absolutely be a Hall of Famer, but maybe he gets pushed to the next year because they see other guys that have been on the ballot for longer. Like you can't hold Nick Saban off the ballot. Like, I mean, he's going in. Like it would be crazy if they had him on the ballot next year.
There's just a list here of guys who just were so special in college. Like Alex Brown from Florida was an undersized defensive end who was just a fucking menace. Jarrett Dillard at Rice. You know, these guys just, when I say them, you just light up because you remember them in college. Ken Dorsey at Miami. What the fuck is – like how in the hell is Ken Dorsey not in a Hall of Fame?
How about Graham Harrell?
Graham Harrell.
Graham Harrell. I didn't look at this list, obviously.
Yeah, I'm just really looking at it.
I wrote down like 40 names, and I was like, and I wrote down just people I know, basically 1995 and post.
Michael Orr.
I'm going to tell you something right now.
NCAA
or whoever's in charge of the College Football Hall of Fame, send me a ballot with 77 names on it, and you're getting a ballot back with 77 X's. I'm putting every single one of these sons of bitches in there. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and tell you that I know who John Lee at UCLA was, from place kicker from 1982 to 85. but goddamn it, John Lee's in. Okay. Todd Light, I remember him. Late 80s. Alex Mack-Cal, I don't really remember him very well, but
he was a lineman
listen,
for the center for the Falcons.
Do you think the ballot is in alphabetical order?
well, this one is. Antoine Randall L isn't in. Antoine
Crazy.
Randall L was unbelievable at Indiana.
Because the reason I say that is like what they should do. And again, I've not seen a ballot, so I don't know. But if they actually like put it by the year that they had played, so you could see how long it's been since they've been on the ballot, and like that to me would then say, okay, I'm gonna go back and say if there's a guy in the 90s that I think should be in, he is my first vote because he needs to get in sooner. Like that's Aaron Donald should actually absolutely be a Hall of Famer. But not if he's going to take over a spot from like a guy that's been in waiting since the 90s.
One
like
that's
Monty Ball.
That's what I was just going to say, Brandon. Man broke the touchdown records.
Yeah.
What are we talking about?
What's keeping him out? I have
I
no
don't get
idea.
Yeah, you can't tell me there were 12 people on a ballot that like
It's
are over Monty
crazy.
Ball.
Even Ryan Leaf.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know.
Eric
All right, read
Weddle,
an ad,
I mean,
Casey.
Oh, well, you know what else is wild? When people hack your shit online. Nobody likes that. Nobody likes getting the data breach. And Kelly Keeks had it happen to her last week where she got a whole bunch of information taken and they were emailing her and calling her. And I said, girl, you need to get Incogni. Incogni is a new friend of unnecessary roughness, and data brokers collect your personal information and profit off of the expense of your privacy, which obviously we know sucks. Anytime even just your phone number or your email address gets leaked into these breachers, it's so annoying, but let alone if you end up dealing with your social security number or your credit card numbers. And most data brokers collect all of them very, very easily. Like they can get them. These criminals are just so good at what they do. And Incogni does it all for you, Ev, because if you did it yourself, like an average person that's not very good at these things or is good, it would still take over 300 hours to manually complete all the individual data removal requests in order to secure your privacy. But Incogni does it all for you automatically. And these days in 2024, it is so easy to steal your information online just by you just Googling your football team schedule. They can get a hold of it. So risk mitigation, recruitment, people search sites, financial information, and marketing data brokers, Incogni removes all of your personal information in an automatic click of a button. So use code ROUGH at the link below to get an exclusive 60% off an annual Incogni plan. That's code ROUGH, ROUGH at the link, which is incogni.com/rough. That's INCOGNI.com/rough.
I wanted to bring up a name that Pat White
Yeah.
should be a Hall of Famer.
Is he not?
Ineligible.
Why?
Didn't make first team All-American, so he can't be a Hall of Famer.
That's a dumb.
I mean,
That's a dumb rule.
ludicrous is that?
Well, Mike Leach isn't eligible either because he doesn't meet the.
he's off by
60%.
point. I think it's like
Yeah.
59.4, something like that.
I was going to
Yeah,
ask
they-
you about that, Brandon. I know people are I think wasn't it Josh Pate talking about it on Twitter? I know we're
I
all.
don't know who that is.
Oh yeah, well, big Josh Pate fans, and I got into a debate. I wouldn't say an argument, a debate with somebody about this. I assume you think Mike Leach should be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, because I have a brain in my head. Listen, I understand the need and the want to have an eligibility requirement for coaches and putting it at 60%. Like I get it. Mike Leach operated outside the bounds of what coaches normally do. Normally, coaches will get their name and they'll move up and they'll go to an Ohio State, a Georgia, and Alabama, and they'll win a national title or whatever. He coached at 3 places that were outside the norms of college football. He coached in Lubbock, Texas at Texas Tech. He coached at Washington State, and he coached at Mississippi State. And he had big seasons at all of them. And he touched national glory at Texas Tech and Washington State. And we don't know if he would have done it at Mississippi State. I know his last season he went 9-4 and had the program going in the right direction, and then he was taken from us. If Mike Leach isn't in the Hall of Fame, take some gasoline and some matches and get rid of the Hall of Fame. Because it should not stand. It should not exist. Period. End of sentence. Mike Leach is everything about college football that needs to be preserved and celebrated for years to come.
So one of the things that I think is so important to talk about too, which I had in this conversation, was like whether this is a fair thing or not. Like normally for me, when you talk about awards like this, you're like, Hall of Fame, like he needed to have won something. And I stepped back and I was like, wait a minute, we're talking about a guy who with the air raid offense literally changed the course of football. And like a casual fan can sit back and say, okay, well, he didn't win this, he didn't win that. You talk to professional football players, you talk to like former college players, coaches, every single one of them will talk about how Mike Leach changed the evolution of college football. To me, that is as Hall of Fame as you can get.
He had an impact on the sport that was far more than some people that won championships,
right?
Or a lot of conference titles. I mean, like he transcended the game. The style of play that is now, he essentially birthed into college football.
Yeah, it's any Hall of Fame that keeps Mike Leach out does not deserve to call itself a Hall of Fame.
It is hard though, whenever you have like when it's like, okay, if you're going to keep guys out who have won like national championships and whatever, then like that's where the criteria to me is so like murky. But again, I didn't know it was only 12 a year. I'm going to be honest. I'm not like very well versed in the college football Hall of Fame requirements. That's the first thing that needs to change. Like, forget all like the percentage points and all that. Like the fact that we're only putting in 12 guys a year is the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
They, I remember at whatever game it was they did, that maybe it was national championship or a playoff game. I remember a few years ago, and they put like the 12 people out there, and it's like the great granddaughter of Red Grange is out here to accept his Hall of Fame thing. It seems like a guy like that should have been years ago.
Yeah.
That's why I'm saying if I was in charge of the ballots, I would literally put him by age, like chronological order. Like when was this guy playing college football and how long has he been sitting on this ballot? Maybe it's time to just give the guy a spot.
Yeah, if he's dead though, just roll him over because who cares? He's dead.
Well, not Mike Leach though.
Not Mike Leach. Mike Leach is special.
Bad Hall of Fame.
Bad Hall of Fame. Good Hall of Fame. And I don't know if this concept's going to work. We'll try it.
No,
the
it's
unnecessary roughness. The unnecessary roughness Hall of Fame. This thing's been going for 5 years, and I'm inducting with my 5 nominations. 5 guys that we either talked about the most, or led the most discussions, or created the hottest arguments. That's what I'm doing. I don't know what you're doing with yours, Kayce.
No, I'm the same way. Monumental moments in the podcast also obviously are usually monumental moments in college football because we talk about the current events. I will say I cheated a tiny bit.
How?
I talked to Jack and Katie about it too. I crowdsourced with them to make sure, and especially Jack because he's been with us since the beginning. But it's crazy that Katie started in 2020. Like it feels like, just in general, I was like, these are my answers. What do you think? So I did crowdsource from our former podcast co-host. But Ev's been listening to the podcast forever. I don't know about Liam. I'm sure he could probably guess some of the ones we're going to say.
I would think probably.
Yeah,
I can think of a couple.
How are we going to do it, Brandon? Are we going to draft?
No. Well, yeah. Let's just draft. You go first.
You want me to go first? Well, I'm gonna take the most heated conversation you and I have ever had that almost caused the podcast breakup, and it's not a player or a coach; it is a game. I am adding the Texas A&M Mississippi State game week to the Unnecessary Roughness Hall of Fame. Some people may forget that in 2019, the week of this game, you lost a bet. You had to wear a yell leader. Call back to earlier in the podcast. You shut me out of the podcast. I then came in and you said something along the lines of
different year.
No, that's the same year.
Nope.
Yes, it is.
Nope.
No, you're right. See, this is my point. It's the same year. The year you had to drive home. You were so mad at me.
That was 2020. Yeah.
Okay, so every single year I call this Brandon's witching week because the Mississippi State Texas A&M game has always created absolute issues. We made it in the Christmas video where you said something to me along the lines of, and what the fuck do you know about funny? I slammed the door really hard. All the plaques fell off the wall and I thought we would never speak again. So I'm adding that to the Hall of Fame because without that really shitty rivalry, I don't know how much heated arguments we'd have actually gotten in over the years.
Well, let me just real quick. I want to catch Blutman up. So what happened, Blutman, was in 2020, Kayce and I made a vow to each other and shook hands that we wouldn't do a bet this year and punish one of us. Kayce went behind my back to Big Cat and said, "Hey, let's come up with a punishment that one of us has to do." And it was to drive back. I had my daughter with me. I had to drive back. I had to punish her by driving back. And then when I got back, I said, "Well, I'll just do the same to her." And I locked her out, and she threw a fit, and she got mad at me.
I don't think that's exactly how it went down. But Liam, he did lock me out and like sent like a note under the door that was like, "You're no longer welcome on this podcast," and then said I wasn't funny. And then Dave said, "Let's not put the video out of that because it was really bad," and we said really mean things to each other, and then somehow it snuck into the Christmas video.
We also can. Neither one of us were behind the decision not to put that video out.
No, I said put it out.
Yeah.
I said, but the reason that I am drafting it though in the Hall of Fame is because Brandon, our teams have not been very good since we've done this podcast together, and every year we find a little bit of spark against each other, and then we keep it moving because our teams have not been any good.
Yep. Who's got the lead? Let's see. You won in 19. You won in 20. So I think you're up 3-2.
I don't think we've lost twice to you since we started the podcast, have we?
Yeah, you definitely have.
I don't know, but it is to be mentioned that the year you had to drive home, it wasn't just that you lost; it's that you lost by the points too, which I think 21.
I think we won. I think we won in 21 and 22. You won in 19, 20, and 23.
That's fair. I don't think that I went behind your back as badly as you said I did, though.
You did.
Okay, so that's my number one draft pick. Ev, you've been around for those things. You remember when Brandon shoved Devlin in the A&M yell leader costume because of this game.
It was a result of the college football show. Yeah. It was a residual from that.
It's a witching week every year.
Well, my first inductee is, I think, the first player that we ever really argued about, fought about, and did it for a while. Did it his entire year that he was at this school. Who do you think that is?
Jalen Hurts.
It's Jalen Hurts from Oklahoma. Jalen Hurts almost tore the podcast apart. Jalen Hurts.
It did.
Jalen Hurts. Apparently, Kayce was the founder of the Jalen Hurts fan club the year he was at Oklahoma, and I said, no, he's not that good. Of course, he would go on to the pros and have an incredible start to his career, so kind of proving me wrong. But when he was in college, I was fully against the Jalen Hurts movement when he was at Oklahoma. But that we had some knockdown, drag-out battles over Jalen Hurts.
Do you remember who he said he'd rather have over Jalen Hurts?
Not off the top of my head.
Sam Ellinger.
Wait! Don't say it because it was a Texas quarterback, right? It was.
It was.
Did you say it?
Yeah, because that's my next pick.
Sam Ellinger.
Sam Ellinger.
I still would rather.
No, you would not. Shut up. No, actually, no. I'm not picking him, but I did. I had Jalen Hurts and Sam Ellinger.
And the tush push.
Yeah. What?
I had them put together because the clip of you talking shit about Jalen Hurts is still so funny too, because you have your Mississippi haircut still. And like, I think it was Gaz that resurfaced it whenever the Eagles had the year that they did a couple seasons ago. And you, with every ounce of your ego and being, said you would rather have Sam Ellinger than Jalen Hurts at quarterback.
I'm not walking that back.
Yes, you are. You have to walk that back.
No, I don't.
Where is Sam Ellinger now? Is he on a roster?
I'm a free American. So. We're not an NFL podcast. We're a college football podcast.
But my point is that Jalen Hurts was you called him a running back.
Who's your second inductee?
I mean, this one's pretty easy, and I feel like as soon as I say the name, it might spark up feelings again. But you want to talk about a guy that's almost torn our podcast apart, and that would be one J.J. McCarthy. J.J. McCarthy has to be inducted. He has. I mean, I believe even after winning the national title of. Brandon and I almost got a divorce over J.J. McCarthy. That man has to be mentioned.
My stance was always correct. Don't do this. Don't do this. Don't do it. Don't do it. I'm gonna do it. They won a national title. They won a national title.
Period. Done.
They won a national title with a guy who gave them average numbers at quarterback. He was a solid quarterback in college. He was never a special specimen at quarterback. He was never anything more than a guy who just kept the chains moving, and that will always be true no matter how many national titles they win.
But he can only win one because he's no longer there. But here's my problem with this, and this is my point. This is why he has to be inducted into this Hall of Fame, because we can argue about it till kingdom come. The man could be retired with like 45 grandchildren. We'll still argue. How many Alabama quarterbacks could you say the same thing about, and you didn't go to war against them? There's been plenty of unspectacular. First of all, I think J.J. McCarthy is a lot more spectacular than you give him credit for.
If we had this podcast in 2013 and people were talking glowingly about A.J. McCarron and how good he was, I'd point out like he's all right, but this team, it's not him. I would have done that.
You know what's really mean about this, Brandon? And I said this when I was talking to the breakdown guys earlier, that you're not an Ohio State fan. I am not a Michigan fan, but we argue and have for the past few years like we are. Now we actually have an Ohio State fan that this actually hurts his heart to talk about, and we just are just casually doing it. Like, we're just rubbing this man's face in it right now.
Well, the shit of it is, Big Ev. Like, J.J. McCarthy, any argument about him in college will always come back to the national title, and it is a trump card to win the national title. So, but I'm never going to bend my knee to the fact that J.J. McCarthy was some game changer in college. He just wasn't. He was not.
I disagree, but here's the thing. he's in the Hall of Fame regardless because we're still arguing about it. Ev, I know how you feel about him, but as a listener and now a host on this podcast, wouldn't you agree that he's probably been one of the most heated topics?
I knew he'd be on the list. I have some thoughts. Me and Jack Mack have exchanged some words off camera. We do spin back fist together. I know where he stands on it. We've went at it many times. Just bad memories. JJ McCarthy makes me want to hurt myself. Right. I don't know if we're allowed to say that on YouTube, but he does. He has.
Yeah.
Just say just metaphorically, and then you're good. Metaphorically, hurt yourself.
Unalive myself. Is that the proper vernacular, the PC?
Yeah, he's
way to say it.
He's definitely one of those that I feel like no matter how many years this podcast goes on, the second his name is mentioned, Brandon will get upset.
I may or may not have debated jumping out of a moving plane.
That is true. I was
my
there.
last encounter with him.
I saw that. Yes, I was there.
So, yeah, I hope. Listen, he has no excuses now.
Brandon, what's your next pick?
My next pick, and when I try to think of the coach that has given us the most headlines, the coach has given us the most laughs, the coach who has given us the most to talk about, it keeps coming back to one man, and now he's kind of become a running thing on mostly sports as well. But the first coach inducted in the Unnecessary Roughness Hall of Fame has to be Dabo Swinney.
Yeah,
it has to be. Just in the time, first of all, they played for a national title the first year this podcast was a thing. They lost to LSU that year. And just in the time we've been doing this, he's given us God's NIL. He's given us Dabo got that drip. He's given us pretty much every Dabo-ism you can give us. And if we could trust one guy to keep giving us shit to talk about, it has been Dabo Swinney.
Yeah, no, that's a good one. And you've definitely gotten very heated. I apologize that I'm taking this one from you, but the next coach inducted into the Unnecessary Roughness Hall of Fame would be one Mike Leach for all the different reasons. But never forget that the intro of this podcast has his clips in it. The amount of just memories that we have of him, obviously him unfortunately passing away during it while he was coaching your school. And even before he got to Mississippi State, just the amount of times that we've talked about him, both laughed and obviously had our memories in a sad way once he did pass away. You got to add Mike Leach to this podcast. And even if he wasn't at your school when he passed away, Brandon, I feel like we used him as a topic a lot throughout the years.
Oh yeah, certainly. Of course, I did have him written down. I had J.J. McCarthy. The first four were Jalen Hurts, J.J. McCarthy, Dabo Swinney, and Mike Leach. Those were the first four that I
think those
down.
are pretty easy ones.
I'm going to add a player here, and this is I only have two more written down, but I'm going to add a player, and this is a guy who, as soon as he kind of left college, just kind of ceased existing. But remember Sean Tucker at Syracuse?
Oh, my God. I forgot about him.
The tweet god.
The tweet
Such
god.
a good tweet god.
Remember Sean Tucker? He would
Yes.
he would go out. He'd run for 200 yards, and then he'd show up on Twitter the next morning and be like, 14 carries for 227 yards. I did my part. I just the most egotistical, crazy tweets, but I just loved it. And I think we had a running tally with him every single year that he was there. What he would tweet the next day.
I feel
Sean Tucker at Syracuse.
Every week we would read his tweets because they were so good, even when they would lose. Right?
Well, because it would be the funniest.
Especially when they would lose.
17 carries for 175 yards and 2 touchdowns and 3 catches for 27 yards and a touchdown. Unfortunately,
tough result, but I did my job.
Unfortunately, we lost 37-21. I scored all 3 touchdowns, but
yeah,
hell of an effort by me. We'll be better next week.
Okay,
and
so
always had the hashtag pleased.
With a 3-4 in it.
That's right. That's right.
Good.
I was looking up to see if he's on an NFL team. I don't think he's on the roster.
He had
he's on the Bucks. He's on the Bucks.
I believe he maybe was a UDFA with Tampa Bay and then had a heart condition that kind of tanked his draft stock. So that's why he never really got going.
Does he still tweet?
He's on the Bucks active roster. I'm seeing on Wikipedia.
Yeah, I think he had a few carries, if I'm not mistaken.
He, in his first NFL season, had 23 rushing yards and 9 receiving yards.
He didn't tweet that out.
Oh, here's a good one.
He unfortunately didn't tweet out. He averaged 1.5 yards a carry in his rookie year.
What do we got here? Saturday, we lost our first game. Syracuse 21, Clemson 27. I'm not pleased with the outcome of the game, but now it's time to focus on winning out the rest of the season. I'm pleased with my performance, but there's more I can do, and I'm healthy. 5 carries, 54 yards, 5 receptions, 18 yards, and TD. # pleased.
So good. God, so
was
good.
the best.
Pleased.
Do you like Liam? You're obviously like a Twitter genius. Like that's how you became who you are, and you're at Barstool. Do you think that he just like took those like off the dome, like first take, or do you think he sat and just like actually like crafted them out?
I could be mistaken. I think he might have done one of those when he was in high school, and then it just became a running thing.
He just
I could be. Oh, maybe. Wait. I don't know. I think maybe he did that in high school, and it just became a running thing.
But do you think he like sat and like sat around and like actually like drafted it, or it was just like first take, like he just fired it off?
I think
it was just first take,
I
fired
love
it
it.
off, and
I
then saw
love it.
everyone loved it. It was just like, I guess maybe he didn't do it in high school. I don't know. He was the best though.
So good. Okay, Brandon, I feel like this one we've had love relationship, we've had hate relationship, we've ignored this person sometimes in the podcast. It's usually your lead. We've got to put Big Game Boomer into the college or the Unnecessary Roughness Hall of Fame. Obviously, if you're watching us right now, you see that you have the banner behind you. You are the #1 college football personality in 2023. At one point, you refused to talk about him. I can't even remember what he said or what he did, but we weren't allowed to bring him up. Katie hated him for a while. I've gone back and forth with him on Twitter. He is somebody that throughout the longevity of this podcast, we have continued to talk about, and I feel like he is a family member now at this point.
Well, first of all, Big Game Boomer is the most plugged-in guy in college football Twitter. He is the most respected voice. He is the voice of a generation, and what he says goes. And I have always maintained that Big Game Boomer is my favorite follow in college football Twitter.
Of course.
And he is the guy that sets the pace, and I shout him out. He is a worthy Hall of Famer, and frankly should be the first Hall of Famer. He is everything that a college football fan should be, and everything a man and an American should be.
I have a question. If you don't repeat in 2024, are you going to talk shit about him again, or where are we going to land with that?
Depending on where I fall, the opinions could change.
I have a feeling
Sure.
if you fall below me, then that's where the problem's going to be.
He's not a fan of mine, I believe.
Well, it doesn't take much to win him over, though.
Well, that's why I'm on the fence where like, do I bend the knee and like basically like, do I suck him off to basically like get higher?
That's
on
what
the list, like Brandon did.
That's exactly what Brandon did.
Because he's engagement farmer for Ohio State. He always trashed Ohio State for the engagement farming. And then last year in his top 100 list, he had me in like the 90s. He had Blattman higher than me, who was the producer in Arizona guy. I was like, this guy, I was like, he hates me. I'm in a crossroads where do I go full in like Brandon, try to rise up the list, or do I say, fuck Big Game Boomer? Your list means nothing. Go like opposite Brandon. I'm at a crossroads. What I do with Big Game Boomer?
Never once sucked him off.
Liar.
I tell the truth. Brandon Walker's the only truth teller in college football media, and that is why people respect me.
Okay, well,
Stop talking.
You went insane on him, and then like he put Mississippi State high on one thing one time, and all of a sudden you were just like the biggest Big Game Boomer fan ever. Which, by the way, the list that he makes, regardless of what people think, like to be able to rattle off lists the way that he does, it's the best way to get engagement because you're going to piss people off and you're going to make people happy. But Brandon, no, let's not act like you didn't have like we had a persona non grata on Big Game Boomer for a little bit, and I don't even remember what it was about.
Game, respect, game. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, the guy's a hustler.
His latest list on Twitter, I was just like curious what he tweets in the off seasons about lists. The top 10 worst MLB hats is his latest list.
That's a good list.
You want to guess what the number 1 is?
Worst MLB hat.
Worst MLB hat. I'll give you the whole list, but I want to see if you get the first one.
Diamondbacks, you think?
That's number 2.
Okay.
Diamondbacks is number 2.
Rays?
Nope, that's 5.
Not a bad guess.
Okay, hold on. So that's not the number 1 Angels?
No, Angels is not on his list.
Okay. You can just say it.
The Miami Marlins.
Do you know it?
Oh.
I'm guessing.
You can just guess it.
What is it?
I didn't want to steal Brandon's thunder. Phillies?
No, it's the Marlins.
Dang it. Oh, well,
It's the Marlins, Diamondbacks, Guardians, Twins, Rays, Rockies, Rangers, Mets, Padres, Brewers.
Brewers.
I know. I think that's
well,
a great
that's that. There he goes.
I thought they had a good hat.
They do.
The
There we
Brewers
go.
do have
That's
a
how
great
he's-
hat. Great logo.
So that's
Those
how he's
Milwaukee Brewers.
doing. He's trying to get us riled up.
Yeah.
Stay the course. Stay the course.
Oh,
Stay the course.
what he has, and just a few tweets down, he has the best hat in Major League Baseball, and it's not particularly close.
Yeah, it's Kansas City, right?
Yeah. Oh, you
Yeah.
saw the tweet?
I saw that one. I didn't see the bad one.
Yeah.
It's a good hat. I wouldn't say it's the best by far.
No.
It's a good hat though.
It's a good hat.
I like
but,
the KC.
But I love lists. So Big Game Boomer definitely has to be on our Hall of Fame.
He does. Sean Tucker, he found a high school tweet from November 30th of 2019. 100th Turkey Bowl, Calvert Hall versus Loyola. We won 33 to 10. I ran for 184 yards and a touchdown. This was my last high school football game. Complete game highlights on my huddle. Here are a few highlights. He did not come up with pleased yet.
I would say
No,
not
please.
He was
No,
not pleased.
please.
Well, he just hadn't come up with it yet, I guess. Maybe he wasn't even 34, so he couldn't do it. I got one more.
I got one more
Do you-
too. I actually have
Okay.
two more, but one more that I had because we said top 5.
I'll probably take this one from you.
Oh boy.
And that's fine because you already took 2 from me. We have a lot of Roughnecks who have been with us from the beginning. A lot of people that have been big fans of this podcast. I'm going Paige Browning. I'm taking Paige.
Good one. She's about to get married.
I'm taking Paige because she's been with us from the beginning. Now there have been others. There was one roughneck lady that sent me a picture of her titties, and I really appreciated that. And but I can't put her in the Hall of Fame because then I have to say her name, and I'm not going to do that. But shout out to her. Paige did not do that, but
No,
she is still a legend who has been with us from the beginning. And female roughnecks get a little bit extra because that they're underrepresented in college football fandom. So thank you for being here. That's my Hall of Famer.
And also, I sent this to Katie, and Jack recently because Paige sent it to me. She is getting married to a guy that she met through the podcast, and then she also has been going to weddings of other roughnecks that she met through just meeting by listening to Unnecessary Roughness. And I know big podcasts like Pardon My Take and Call Her Daddy, like all those podcasts have those like the fans like that because they're so massive. But like to hear that people are literally making life decisions through people they've met listening to our dumbasses, that's crazy to me.
Yeah, I'm
like
going
that's
to the wedding.
insane. No, you're not.
Oh, I got the invitation. I'm going.
Bullshit.
Yes, I am.
They're having
going.
they're having a high noon like station because of Unnecessary
High noon
Roughness.
station.
Let's
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
Isn't that so cool? So cool.
That's so cool. I'll be there in 3 weeks, 4 weeks,
Liar.
6 weeks,
Liar.
8 weeks.
Liar. Yeah, I doubt it's in college football season. She would never. This is who I thought you were going to take, and I feel like you have gotten lost in someone's eyes less than this person. Kirk Herbstreit has to be in the Unnecessary Roughness Hall of Fame. Obviously, we are all big fans, but you have a story from when he flew into Starkville when you were in college. I don't even remember where we were when our plane landed at the same place ESPN's plane did.
Chicago. We were in Chicago.
That's what was it for Wisconsin?
Yeah.
Notre Dame. And you were like, and I know I always give you shit about this, but it really was cool, like to see like you got to like physically like meet him, and I got to talk, like we all got to talk shit, and it was like this weird moment of like, oh my god, like our private plane just landed next to Kirk Herbstreit's private plane. But it's just like I think he's phenomenal. His voice is obviously great. He's a good dude. I've enjoyed my conversations with him, and you will never hear someone on this podcast talk shit about Kirk Herbstreit, i.e. he will be in the Hall of Fame. And I know Ev, you love him because of where he went to school. But he's the best college football personality, in my opinion. He should be number 1 on Big Game Boomers list. No offense. Sorry.
What do you think that was necessary?
I have opted to kind of erase those last few words from my memory, and I only recognize one man as the top personality in college football.
Kirk Herbstreit?
Oh, Brandon Walker. I didn't know it needed to be said. Brandon Walker.
All right. And I guess there are probably Roughnecks will have their own Hall of Famers. And
I
we're
have
probably missing
one.
a lot
I
of
have
them.
one that's the anti Hall of Fame, but that
Who?
has created many a rant of Brandon Walker. Would you like to guess? Somebody that you really hate.
Oh, Hugh Freeze?
No, that's a good one, but no.
He's probably the guy I hate the most in college football.
I was going to say that we can't put him in the Hall of Fame because we can't give him his flowers, but Dan Wolken's been a pretty big topic on this podcast.
No, he sucks. Yeah, he's the worst.
Throughout the years,
him.
Dan Wolken has had quite an influence on us.
I mean,
throw him and Pat Forty all in the same trash can.
Christine Brennan.
People who cover college football who hate college football.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
yeah.
That's Dan Wolken.
Pretty much. If you wrote an article in August of 2020 saying college football is not important and it shouldn't be played this year, go fuck yourself forever. That's
never
my
forget
statement.
the darkest day in Big Ten history was the day they decided to play college football, according to Christine Brennan. Not Penn State, not Michigan State, none of the actual scandals. They decided to play football. So. Yep.
All right. Tell us about another great partner of ours.
Another great partner is what has made my hair so luscious and long, Brandon. Nutrafol. They have so many different vitamins that you can have an array of problems or array of issues that go on with your hair. I personally, as I've not mentioned this plenty of times, had a baby. Postpartum hair loss was an absolute bitch for me. Nutrafol came through. They also have great recipes. I'm not looking for recipes. What word am I looking for right now? Are they formulas? Thank you, Big Ev. My brain, I'm going to say mom brain. I'm going to use that. They have a lot of different formulas that take a whole body approach to hair health, addressing problems inside to help the hair grow on the outside, supporting your lifestyle, not just your hairstyle. So it's tailored to whatever you need to grow throughout different stages, such as aging, parenting, as well as different lifestyles and diets. So building a hair growth routine seems like it could be a really hard thing. Not with Nutrafol. It's just a vitamin that's full body, not just for your hair. And if you take the first step to visibly thicker, healthier hair, Nutrafol can help you do that. For a limited time, they're offering our listeners $10 off your first month's subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com and enter the promo code UR. That's Nutrafol.com, spelled Nutrafol.com, promo code UR. Nutrafol.com, promo code UR. I always wear my hair in a ponytail or under a hat and a braid, but my hair is so long and so thick. And this is one of those products that I cannot speak high enough. It's #1 dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement. Over 1 million people are seeing thicker, stronger, faster growing hair with less shedding. And if there's a woman out there that needs it postpartum, I promise I am a walking, living proof of Nutrafol. That's Nutrafol.com, promo code UR.
All right. What else we got here? FPI is updated. Have y'all seen the FPI?
Yes, I have. And I know, do you like the FPI? I can't remember how we feel about it.
FPI is worth this. Here's what the FPI is worth. Once every June or July, the FPI will update. It will give us 15 minutes of talking points, and that's it. The FPI is not worth the piece of paper it's usually printed on and doesn't really matter at all, but it is a talking point. I'm looking at it, and I see, as far as the first, there are a couple of things that stick out here. Now, Blutman, before I go any further, do you understand FPI and what goes into it?
He has to.
Do I care about it? Nope.
Can you explain it in layman terms?
Offense, defense, special teams, quality of win, all that.
Okay.
Garbage.
Okay. So going in
now,
if we were to rank the top 4 teams in this country, I think we would rank them. We would have these 4 teams, maybe not in this order, but Georgia, Oregon, Texas, and Ohio State are 1, 2, 3, and 4. And I think in any scenario, those are your top 4 teams going into the season. I personally would go Georgia, Ohio State, Texas, and then Oregon. But whatever, that's neither here nor there. FPI, it has the actual points that Georgia's a 26.8, Oregon's 24.5, Texas 22.9, Ohio State 22.2. Now, after that, that's when you get into, I think you've just got to mix and match. There's just a bunch of teams that are like between 6 and 15 that are interchangeable to me. Alabama for number 5, Penn State 6, Notre Dame 7, Oklahoma 8. I think I got that wrong. Alabama 6, Penn State 7, Notre Dame 8, Oklahoma 9, Tennessee 10, followed by Missouri, Florida State, Michigan, and LSU. Now, one of the things that surprised me here was going into the season, there are certain teams that are just expected to be very, 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 very good. Ole Miss will probably be a preseason top 10 team in every single, rating. Here, they're number 16. And I think that's interesting. That seems low for them.
That does seem low.
They're right behind Clemson and A&M. A&M's 14th.
Are you
Kayce?
saying it's high?
Feels like it. Does it not?
Yeah, no, it seems pretty high. This is why, and I know you said it, like FPI is one of those things that it's a talking point, and then once the season starts, like if it's like, oh, so and so's on the FPI, like I couldn't give a shit less, but it's a talking point. If A&M's in the top 20, though, I'll take it. I'll use that as something to talk about all summer. I mean, they're the 14th in the FPI. That it's numerically correct. They're number 14.
Yeah, and then some other surprises. Florida's number 20. I don't think many people expect much out of them.
Crazy.
Well, did the FPI also bring in strength of
8.3%
schedule
chance to make the playoff?
What'd you say?
Do they bring in the strength of schedule in FPI?
No, I don't think they do. I think
See, this
if
is why it
anything,
doesn't-
it goes against you.
So
It has Florida's at like 8.3% chance to make the playoff.
So I saw a list, and this is where I like the FPI more, is whenever they start using the FPI to make up other FPI lists that don't actually make sense. So I sent this in the group text, Brandon. I'm assuming you didn't read it because you don't ever read the group text, but the best chance to go undefeated in the regular season in 2024, according to ESPN FPI. So this is now using that number to make up a numbered list that doesn't make sense. Can you guess? Now you're going to go look at it, but can you guess who has the percentage according to ESPN FPI to go undefeated?
I did just see it. And I don't.
I don't.
And
get
I do understand. I do understand it. I get it because their schedule is a joke this year. You're talking about Notre Dame, correct?
So Notre Dame, but this is where it gets like really dicey, right? Notre Dame is 15.8%. Oregon is 15.7. Like where's that one decimal?
Yeah, and it gives Oregon their chance of winning the Big Ten at 37.5%. Ohio State's is 25.7. Like I don't get that.
Right, like the numbers don't necessarily add up. Ohio State has a 7.5% of going undefeated according to ESPN FPI.
I mean, I guess just tough schedule. I get it. Oregon on the schedule this year, obviously Michigan, Penn State.
Oregon having a 15.7% chance to go undefeated according to this is kind of crazy.
Yeah. I've just never, these FPI and all this,
they don't mean
really
shit.
given a shit about it. It just means nothing. And especially, I mean, before the season starts, it really means nothing.
That's the only time it does.
It does point out a team that will be Notre Dame will be a talking point all year because
sure.
I don't know how good they're going to be, but that schedule gives them an incredible opportunity to go 11-1 or 12-0. It just
you know what we're going to do. You usually do this, but I'm going to bring it up so that I can do it to you. We're just going to go down the list and you're going to say win or loss. Have we done that with Notre Dame?
Notre Dame schedule?
Yes.
Notre Dame? You can do it.
Okay.
I have no problem. I don't know when I'm going to say a loss though because that schedule is pretty wretched.
Okay, starts with Texas A&M.
Where's that game?
College Station at night.
So that's the most interesting. I think
not easy.
7:30.
Not easy at all.
Definitely not easy.
It's a tough place to play. It's Mike Elko's first game.
Mm-hmm.
That guy got it going at Duke very fast. There is a base of talent at A&M that is strong.
So for the sake of this exercise,
I'm gonna say, I think they're going to.
Before Brandon answers, let me ask this. How much do you think Mike Elko, knowing Riley Leonard so well, plays into this match?
A lot.
It certainly can't help Notre Dame.
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
I mean, I think they're going to lose that game. And that might be that's probably the toughest game on their schedule. And I know A&M, you look at them, they're 14th in this FPI, but I don't know. I think that's a tough ask for Notre Dame to go into College Station on night one. And because A&M's always a crazy place to play. Even when they're not all that good, it's a tough place to play. But the first night of Mike Elko, I mean, shit, that's going to be a tough place to play. Keep going.
And not only that, there's also it's a competitor of ours, but like game day is going to be there. It's Kirk Herbstreit. Yeah. Like it's the whole thing. Okay. So then they play Northern Illinois, win.
Yeah, that's a win.
Purdue,
win.
Miami of Ohio, win.
I need you to tell me where these games are as well, but that's a win.
Oh, okay. Okay. So Purdue is at Purdue.
Yep. That's
Miami, Ohio is at Notre Dame.
That's a win.
Louisville at Notre Dame.
That's a win.
Stanford at Notre Dame.
That's a win.
Georgia Tech at Mercedes-Benz in Atlanta.
That's a win.
Navy at MetLife.
That's a win.
Florida State at Notre Dame.
Very tough game.
That's a tough game.
That's the NBC.
Yeah, so it's not
game.
the easiest schedule in the world.
They play like 3 games.
They play, and then they got USC later too, right?
Yeah, they got so it's Virginia at Notre Dame, which is a win. They play Army at Yankee Stadium.
Yeah,
which is a win, and then USC at USC.
I like them closing the schedule with USC. I like that.
I don't.
Why not?
Should be UCLA, USC then the year. Always should be. I mean,
I kind of
gotta
agree with.
get,
I
like,
agree with Liam.
Come on.
All right,
Oregon,
okay, you
Oregon
can
State
have
are
it.
playing like week 3.
You
That's
can have
bad.
it. You can have it.
Thank you. Thank you.
But fist bump. The issue I have is that we started off the schedule, whether we're talking about A&M or not, and they have the highest percent chance to go undefeated by ESPN
Yeah.
FPI, and we like tore it apart in week 1.
Yeah, and the fun
That's why
thing
this shit
about
doesn't matter.
Notre Dame, the fun thing about Notre Dame too is like the other year, you guys would have gone through that and said, "Oh yeah, they're being Marshall." Nope.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mike
Yeah, that's true,
Abraham,
good
big
point.
time player.
And
I predicted Marshall in the offseason would beat him.
You
I'll make a
did?
prediction right. I'll make a
Yes.
prediction right now. If they lose to A&M, Notre Dame is not going undefeated.
Wow, look at that. Rain Man type shit from you.
Whoa.
All right. I got to pee so much my kidneys are actually leaving my
I
body.
actually have to
so-
pee really bad too, so.
Oh
So-
man.
What?
I want to talk about how Kansas has
Oh.
a 2.7% chance
Oh,
to make the national title.
Well, we have time for the Blutman minute.
We
Oh,
have to
I
have the
really
Blutman
do.
minute.
We don't need to do it.
You don't have one?
I mean, I could. Preston Stone, what a guy. Look out for Preston Stone again. I say it every year now. He was always better than Tanner Mordecai. I don't know where that hype came from for Mordecai. No, if he's watching, I'm sorry, or listening, I'm sorry. I used to call him Tanner Mordecai. Really didn't understand it. Preston Stone's that guy. Watch the Oklahoma game he had last year in a hostile environment. Immaculate ball placement, good poise. Just a great, confident player. Nice fella, too, and he's ACC now. Pretty cool. Preston Stone is sick with it.
Sick with it.
I am a Preston Stone guy. I appreciate the SMU love.
Ev
Yeah,
loved
Preston
that
Stone's
Blutman moment.
nasty.
I did. When he just said Preston Stone, he was just a couple of ball knowers. It's like a guy talking SMU quarterbacks. I love that.
Yeah, he loved
I
that.
didn't
I
have
just
anything
perked up the second I
prepared,
heard
but
Stone.
he just came into my head.
All right.
Good ball placement by Preston Stone.
I love
No,
I love the Blutman minute.
I love it too. But it's gonna end the show every time you do it.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Also very Frank the
Goodbye.
Tank-esque in the Midakai.
That is
Yeah.
true.
Oh, yeah.
And-
I was Kyle Mediocre.
Ooh.
Ooh,
Wish I had that one.
Brandon
good.
Brandon
All right.
hated the every second of that.
That's
That's
unnecessary
That's
reference.
unnecessary.